Now, I don't believe you want to be single in 12 months from now. If you're currently married or in a long-term relationship, you don't want your success at work to cause your failure at home. And so just a couple of tips, because I work with a lot of people. I do a bit of consulting and helping people get their business succeeding, but also not at the expense of home. When I chat with women about how their husbands are going at work, the things that I hear from them are these things. Firstly, they keep telling me that their husbands or their boyfriends don't hear them when they're talking. Okay, now they say that their husband comes home at the end of a busy day and he's not really listening to her, and when he does listen, he's giving her solutions that she wasn't asking for. And what these ladies really want us as guys to get in our heads is that when they're talking to us about their day, they are not looking for solutions. They're not looking for us to solve their dramas. Sometimes as a husband, I know I listen to my wife and I just want to solve her dramas because then she'll go and be happy and I can go back to doing whatever I was doing. It just doesn't work like that. She's not telling you those things so that you can solve it. She's telling you those things so that you can share in the experiences of her day. And when we understand the purpose of that conversation, life is a lot easier for us. So major tip for us as guys is don't solve it, just listen and just a bit of empathy. Oh, that sounds tough. You know, she's happy and we haven't had to do anything. What a bonus. Also, as guys, to remember that we've been serving people at work and we come home and we don't have much to give, and yet the heart cry that is coming from our wife or our girlfriend is, tell me I'm special, tell me I'm important to you. You know, where have you been all day? Tell me I'm important to you. Now, it's hard for us because we come home and it's almost like we experience that as neediness and we're like, oh, why are you being like that? But you know what? If that's what she needs, just give it to her. You know, she's special, she's important. Tell her, use your actions or your words to show her, and she'll be happier and a lot lower maintenance really for the relationship for you is to just give her what she wants. And the last thing for us as guys to be aware of is that often our wife or our spouse or our girlfriend is giving us feedback on how we should be different or whatever. It's hard for us to hear that feedback as just feedback. We're hearing it as complaints and then we respond defensively. And if we as guys were just able to hear that feedback as feedback and not take it as personally, our home life would be a lot easier. Now, when you chat with the women as well about what they're dealing with, because not all the CEOs that we're chatting with are going to be male. A lot of you are women. A lot of you come home and you've got the day's stuff going through your head and then you deal with what you deal with at home. So it's important for you to know that he's no use to you for that first 15 minutes when he gets through the door, because he's turning up at home with an emotionally depleted tank. If you give him 15 minutes to do whatever he does, you know, whether he's busying himself in the kitchen or whether he's just being lazy and sitting on the couch, you give him 15 minutes before you go to him to meet your emotional needs, life's going to be a lot easier. So it's hard, I know, because I chat with a lot of women who deal with this. It's very hard to hold back from just going and just chatting with him about your day and hanging out with him, because it's what you want to do. And it causes you to feel connected and it's just healthy. And he wants to serve you. He wants to give you what you need, but he struggles to do in that first 15 minutes. So just give him 15 when he gets home and you'll find out that he's almost a different guy. Now, for all of us as spouses, it's important for us to set time aside specifically for each other. Otherwise, the demands of our work life, which are ever pressing, always appearing to be urgent, always so important, they become the main priority and our marriage or our relationship becomes the lower priority. And in some days it's just going to be like that, but it doesn't have to be like that every day. So I'd highly recommend you having a date night at least once a week. Now, most people tell me, oh, I couldn't do that. How would I get a babysitter? How would I do this? How would I do that? It's like, you're a CEO and you're telling me you can't organize a babysitter. Let's think that through, okay? Or you're a CEO or you're a business owner and you can't afford to pay the next door neighbor's daughter to babysit your kids. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. You pay a contractor hundreds of dollars an hour, but you can't pay a babysitter? Come on. You know, so when I first say to people, I'd highly recommend a date night at least once a week, they look at me like I'm from another planet. But I've been having a date night once a week with my wife pretty much every week for the last 6 or 7 years. And the impact on my marriage of that is just so healthy. And I would never want to go a week without that because I know what the impact is. So we can talk till the cows come home about being a hero at work and being considerate at home or whatever, but if we're not creating the time, specifically building that time, then protecting it, where we can actually hang out with our spouse and just enjoy and relax and do life, then, you know, it's like we're missing the point. Why are we working so hard if we're missing out on life? Something that I find a bit harder is my wife and I also try to have a coffee out each week during the day. I find it much harder to be present, you know, in the zone with her, because my head's sort of going in the middle of the day with whatever projects I'm working on. It's much easier for me after work. But, you know, whatever works for you. But you got married for a reason, or you got together for a reason, and you want to hang out together because that actually probably matters a lot more to you than your business. I hope it does, because the consequences of your business failing compared to the consequence of your home life failing, they're in different leagues. One more tip, because I know a lot of you as business owners or CEOs, you work with your spouse. So I work in the same workplace as my wife does. And what that means is when we come home, where does work stop and where does home life start? You know, especially given that I work from home most of my time. She's often working at the office, but I'll work from home a lot. And so if it's 5:31 at night, does that mean that we're not at work? You know, or how do we delineate between work stops here and home life starts here? Especially if, say, I'll get a text on my phone at 6 p.m, just something little that she can do in 1 minute. She can make something go away for me, and it's a today issue. I'll just say to my wife, can you do this? And all of a sudden I've turned home life into work life, which is okay, but somehow then as soon as that's done, we have to turn it back into home life. Or even better, usually you think, surely it could wait till tomorrow. But let's imagine if I did that. You know, like, how do you flip from work to home? So you got to find a way to do that with your spouse. You got to come up with, I wouldn't say ground rules, because they're not rules, they're not hard and fast, but what are the ways that you're going to communicate to each other when you're on work and when you're not on work? One of the times that your spouse feels like they can just relax and hang out with you instead of worrying that you're going to be checking your phone to deal with some drama to protect you from tomorrow's issues, you know. So it's tough. If you work with your spouse, it's even harder. I get that. Believe me, I get that. But that just makes it more important to get it right.